So next on our list is storage services, starting with block volume. So block volume, I like to think of it as having a local virtual hard drive where you choose the HDD or SSD. This is what you're going to be primarily using when you're using your virtual machines. You're going to want to be using a block volume attached to it. The next thing we have is local NVMe. NVMe is a transfer protocol for SSD that allows the drive to operate very, very efficiently. I had to look this one up, but I'm sure people that make video gaming computers or that do video editing really do care about using NVMe because it gives you extremely fast performance. Then you have file storage, and so file storage is when you're using a file system such as NSF version 3. This allows multiple connections to the same storage device at the same time, which is really nice when you're doing cloud stuff and you need something to have the same files. Then you have object storage. So object storage is serverless storage, and you can upload as many files as you like, and it scales without worrying about running out of space or data loss, because generally the data you put into object storage is highly available. It will be replicated across multiple data centers. Then we have archive storage. So this is long-term cold storage, and this is when you need to keep files around for a very long period of time that you might infrequently access. And so the idea is you wouldn't want to put them in object storage because the idea is that it'd be more expensive. So if you never have to use them, so let's say you have to hold on to records for the next 7 years for, like, let's say for taxes, you'd want to put them in archive storage so they're not costing you more money. So I want to talk a bit more about storage services and just make it a bit more clear the difference between block versus file versus object, because those are the main three that you need to be thinking about. So let's first talk about block storage. And so Oracle service is called block volume. And this is where the data is split into evenly split blocks, and the data is directly accessed by the operating system, and there's only support for a single write volume. So if you have multiple virtual machines, you're going to have multiple block volumes, and you're not going to be able to share that volume with other machines, or at least if you do, it's not very easy. And this has to just do with the fact that it's only the operating system accessing it. The protocols that are being used here is FC, maybe ISCSI or iSCSI, and there's another one there. You don't really need to know the transfer protocols, but I'm just trying to point out that a block volume is directly accessed by the OS, and it only supports a single write volume. So you're not sharing that drive with multiple VMs or users. Next is file storage, and file storage is stored with data and metadata. And so with this format, you can have multiple connections via a network share. So you can use protocols such as NFS or SMB. And so it's going to allow multiple users or multiple VMs to access that file system. And it's going to act as if you're all on the same computer, which is really nice. So it supports multiple reads, but when you are writing to a file, it will lock. So if I'm writing on a file, then you can't access it until I'm done with it. Last, we have object storage. So object storage is stored with data, metadata, and a unique ID. The protocols we're going to be using here is HTTP or HTTPS and API. The way you're going to access these files is through the internet. So that's how you're going to get access to them. The advantage of object storage is there is no limit in terms of the size of the files or the amount of files that you store. Or if there is, they're very, very high. You're not going to be affected by them. And the last thing is that it supports multiple reads and writes. So there's no lock. So you aren't going to be hindered if somebody is working with a file. So yeah, those are your three solutions. And another thing that I don't have on the slide here, but block volume is the most expensive at scale, and object storage is the least expensive at scale. So, the more you get to the serverless, and that object storage is a serverless service, the more cost effective it gets.